Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast.
Well, good morning. Good morning to everyone. And welcome to our Motivation Monday. Today we're going to be talking about control. Controlling or trying to control the actions of others. And if you have anybody in your life that tries to control you or wants to control your reaction, today is going to be about how we can see it and what you can do about it. Or maybe it is that you like other people to control you. I thought it would be a good topic because how do we bring motivation to the things that we want to do? How do we motivate ourselves to take control of our own actions? Let's talk about that. Taking control of our own actions. Okay. What do we need to do that? The first thing is taking control of how we feel. Knowing how you feel, what makes you feel, what makes you react, and not allowing other people. I want you to think about your responsibilities for your actions and your emotions. How do you do it? Well, since Monday is all about our mindset and being motivated to do something, what do? We reflect on how we think, how we feel, what we say, and how we say it. It's so important that we do this, guys. Or not. So today's podcast is taking control and not allowing other people to control you. What's important to you? And what do you want to do with you, yourself, and you? How many of you have really set a goal for yourself? We talk about goals a lot. And when we talk about goals, the goals may be different. Your goal may be different from mine different from yours. We do what we do, right? What do you focus on? And what can you control? And when we think about the things we can control, the things we cannot control, it's acceptance. Accepting the things that you are able to control and accepting the things that you may not be able to control. Good morning, Trish. So how are you doing in that aspect? How are you doing? When you say something is out of control, are you aware of what's out of control? What may be out of control? We think about our goals and we think about, with that, we have a look-see into ourselves. And yes, I said look-see. Good morning, Trish. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we have a look-see into ourselves when we think about our emotions. We need to acknowledge. The first thing when you came into Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast, you learned about emotions. Today, what can you tell me about your emotions without feeling like you're going to be judged or feeling like someone is telling you how you feel? You know, like people look at your face and they'll say, that person is mean, or you're feeling, you look like you're tired. Because I'll do that a lot when I look at people and I'll say, you look tired today. And I have to stop myself, because more than acknowledging that, maybe they're not tired. So let them own their emotions. Do you own your emotions? If I ask you how you felt today, what would be your thought? And when people say, you look tired, or what are you so upset about? You're naming their emotions for them. Take that back. And when something like this is done to you, take that back and say something like this. Actually, I'm not as tired, or actually, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty rested. Own your own feelings. We stay focused. And in staying focused, you are putting your time and your energies on the things you control. What about in life when there are mistakes? When there is something that you have challenged yourself with and the outcome doesn't look good? Because you know what I tell people? You can't be perfect all the time. Or can you? Sometimes people won't accept failure. And here we don't say failure. You know, we say challenge. Challenge yourself to be better or do something better than you did before. Because life is not, or should not be, competitive. Life should be all about your being able to train yourself to control your emotions. You ever felt like you could do something better? Instead of saying, I failed and I won't try again, you say, this is challenging me to do something better. And I'm going to go back to when I was training for my certification. I took the test more than twice, and I am a note taker. Handwritten notes. I took handwritten notes as I was studying for the class online. And you had to get an 80 or above, and I just wasn't reaching the 80. I stayed in the 70s. But when you are getting your certificate, they require of you to pass 80% of the class. Did I think I was failure? Did I think that I am a failure? No. How bad did I want to be certified in counseling? So much so that I wanted to become a certified counselor. So I took the test again. I never thought of myself as failure. I thought of my mindset. I know this information. Now let me concentrate. So after taking that test twice, I finally passed. So me not giving up on the thing that I would think I'm failing the class, no, I didn't fail it. I kept trying, and I received my certification. And congratulations to you, Trish, on your completion of your journey to start. Congratulations. What do we do when we are taking on ownership of our actions or our challenges? We're able to develop what is called resilience. How many times have you ever fallen in life? The word is fallen. How many times have you ever failed in life? Too many to count? Not very often? Or sometime? Falling is not failure. And I'm going to use this analogy because I know you all can get this, especially you mothers and fathers that have had children. Would you say that when your child is learning how to walk, that they're failures? Because every time they try, they keep falling and they have to start over? What would be your answer to that? But now, if you've watched your baby long enough, your baby does what? He keeps falling and they get up. So they practice this every day, or they do a regular practice of it. And they eventually learn the challenge or risk the challenge of standing up versus falling down. You see, that baby is setting a pattern for us as we learn as adults, that when we fall, we get back up. The same as when you have failed, or when you haven't done something, or when you're challenged, you may fall, but I want you to get up. Get up, stand up. Get up, stand up. What does it teach you? You learn to adapt, you learn to cope. In that baby's life, it's a difficult time because they've never walked before. They do things in steps. So with life, we have to do things in step. We don't tell a baby how to walk, right? That baby begins to hold on to us, and all of a sudden they're trying to get their balance, and they do a lot of falling. You ever wonder if they're ever going to make it? And you say, of course they're going to make it. This is part of their life. This is part of what they do so that they learn to gain control and have balance in their life. So they wobble. You often wonder if their little bodies is going to be able to manage it. And they all look like little drunken midgets trying to hold up their hand that's not quite catching on to their bodies. We all know what that looks like. And when they fall, we clap, we say, good job! And you know what makes them want to stand up again? because we've cheered them on. Now, I want you to think about your life and being in control over it and how many people have cheered you on. Maybe it's been your parents, maybe it's been your educators, maybe it's been all of them. But the one thing that baby learns to do is get up. They're a little uncomfortable, and pretty soon, when they got the hang of it, they're walking, they're marching, they're running. Life is so controllable. We learn. What have you learned about growing this year, since our series, our closing of the year is about growing? Are you still that baby who walks around without balance, trying to get a hold of life, trying to hang on? If you've done that, we cheer you. Are you like that baby that pretty soon is walking, doesn't need any help, and you look around and the baby's running all over the place? Because it's got the hang of life and it knows to go. Doesn't need mommy or daddy to say, hey, look at that color over there. Hey, look at that person over there. They just learn and explore. Have you done that with your life lately? And this is for everybody. People that have substance abuse, people that have been abused, people that have been divorced, people that have lost loved ones, people that have graduated, people that have started new projects. Everyone can gain something from this podcast on gaining control of your life. As you look back at 2025, what is it that you needed to gain control of? Perhaps it was looking at your well-being. We talk about that on Wednesday. Making time for yourself, whether it's a leisure or just relaxing. What have you done to enjoy your life? What have you learned about you? I was just talking to a friend about our not getting enough rest, or our not having to perhaps lay down and have 8 hours of sleep. I don't know if anybody does that anymore. But the question is, do you rest? Do you control your body and your mind enough to be able to rest it? To lay it down? Or does someone have to tell you, gosh, you look tired, and you have to say, well, I haven't had enough sleep. But did you get rest? And that's the question I want to ask everybody that listens, whether you're in Spain, Ireland, England, Middle East. Are you resting? And you see, by doing that to your well-being, you are accepting knowledge about yourself and improving in your education about yourself. For 360 something odd days, we have been learning about ourselves and our emotions. And where are you in comparison to where you were before you started Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast? Or does someone have to always control you? I notice that even when kids are little, they look for the reassurance of their parents. But I see some older ones doing that. They look up to their mates. or whoever's next to them, as if to say, tell me what to say next. Have you grown from that? You have a mindset of your own? Now there's nothing wrong with you receiving encouragement. But life is not always you telling a person what to do. And I'm going to go back to that child that is learning to walk. Never once do I have to tell a child to get up. A child that is learning to walk, they will crawl before they walk. And when it's time to walk, they will hold on to things. How many of you have heard a baby, or witnessed a baby doing that? Because you see, that baby wants to be able to walk so that he can learn to run, learn to get to something. It's amazing. Don't miss the next opportunity to witness a baby in your life being able to do that, because you never have to tell that baby to get up and walk. Their stage of life, their mental development, their mental capacity tells them when it's time. In most children who are born healthy, everybody has a different time when they learn to walk. Have you learned to walk independently? Remember the thing I said about a baby when they got to balance their heads, because their head sometimes seems larger than their whole body, but here they go wobbling. And eventually, as time goes by, guess what they do? They learn to embrace this new change, this opportunity. Yes, that's right, to gain freedom, because that's what they're really doing. They've been held for the first 10 months of their lives. Now they want to explore. So what do we have to do with a walking child? It's time to make everything baby-proof, child-proof. It's like living in a prison in your own home, because you got to check the cabinets, you got to plug up the outlets, making sure that they're not in danger, but they learn to support. If a baby didn't do that, wow, I would hate to see them at 5 years old. And we're talking about healthy children, because we do realize that there are some children that were born with difficulties that may not be able to do that. But yet, we don't cast them off, because they are still important. Take that note. So what do we do when controlling ourselves? Learning how to control ourselves. We talked about self-care. But now you're going to need a support system. We're going to talk about growth, because many of you have come to me with addiction problems or challenges. This is not a problem until you make it one. It seems to be out of control. And I say, hey, do you want to make an appointment? You say yes. We go through a few sessions. And what I find out, I can't tell you to stop drinking or taking drugs just like that, cold turkey. I'm open-minded into you being able to build for yourself a support system that aligns your life and aligns you with some control. And spending that time with people who support you. Come a little closer. When things feel uncontrollable, out of control, build a support system. If you don't have a support system, start by coming here. People need that. People need an outreach. And Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast is all about that. Many of you don't have supportive family or supportive friends, and many of you do have lots of friends and lots of family. And if you say to me, I have no one to support you, start with number one. Gaining control and alignment with your life is about you recognizing it starts with you. Some of us love to clutter in our homes, in our lives, and if I ask you what your mind looks like as you see clutter and disorganization and uncontrolled living, what would your drawing look like? Organization is important. Having space to do that, whether it's physical, whether it is spiritual, whether it is emotionally or mentally, we are layers of ourselves. Remember, we had a podcast about that. What are the things you need versus what are the things you don't need? What are the things that you need to feel more in control of your life? And what are the things you don't need? Oftentimes people who may need chemical dependency, they have told me, I don't need to drink. I don't need these drugs. They recognize that. I don't tell them they don't need it. They recognize. To be able to declutter their life, gain more control, they need organization. You know, some people aren't for groups like this. Self-help, support groups, healing. And I mean real healing. I'm not talking about doing some magicianry. A magician. I'm talking about healing from the root of you. Remember, there are layers to all of us. We are something else. And I mean that in a good way. A human brain, a human heart. And so Vibe Talk Facing the Lion Healing Center and Podcast gives you the opportunity to have safe space with our workshops and gives you the ability to heal what seems to be out of control. Everyone get that? We must take responsibility. And I have met people in my time that have felt completely out of control. Why do we even need to take back control of our life? What's your thought on that, Trish?
I think that taking back control in your life is important because sometimes when you are stuck in the issues that you have or you seem like you can't get out of the situation. So it's important to have control because it will seem very hectic and very mixed up. It's hard to maintain. Everything will seem out of control, and it's hard to manage as well. So I think that's why we need control for ourselves.
Thank you for that. I want you to think about these words: self-determination, empowerment, self-reliant. And here's how I mean that. Because I don't want you to run with this, guys, wherever you're listening, and say, Miss Nisi said this. Self-reliance does not mean that you will not need guidance. That's not what I'm saying. Self-reliance is being able to use your mind power, use your brain power, your physical power. But I want you to think about self-determination. Your ability to be able to make choices. What was the last choice that you made? Anybody? Last choice I made. Last choice I made was what I wanted to watch on TV. How about you, Trish? What was the last choice you made?
The last choice I made was I wanted to wear 2 jackets instead of 1 jacket today.
Okay. So what does that tell us? That we are all capable of making decisions. By the way, our phone line is open. If you are hearing this podcast on a different day, you can still call in. You can leave us messages. You can even text us. 1-888-721-9260. By your making decisions, you are in control of your choices. Now, when we think about your actions, your emotions, and your thoughts, who controls your emotions? Who controls what you do as a result of how you're feeling? And who tells you to think? Going back to the child, we are governed by what our parents teach us, right? And you parents, because I know I'm a parent, many of you have done amazing jobs that your children are able to think for themselves. And with each conversation on a daily basis, you're allowing them to make their own choices. I'll illustrate. You ever saw a 5-year-old pick out his own clothes or her own clothes? That's an experience. Or maybe you as a child picked out your own clothes. You say, go get your outfit for the day. And wow, they come out looking like, wow. And you're a little hesitant because you don't want them to wear that, but you're giving them a choice to be able to develop their cognitive skills, to be able to use their mind. Well, you know that you give them motor skills because they're going to go in their closet or their dressers and pick out something, and they come back out and they've got on striped pants with a triangle shirt, purple with yellow. They say, that looks good, I want to wear that, and you say, don't say it. And I ask you to try this, perhaps maybe on a weekend. You know, don't let them do it at school. And I don't see anything wrong with that. But they're learning a sense of independency. And so it gets a little better. You know, 5 years old, 4 and 5 is a precious age because they're learning their independence. They're learning to master the skill of saying, I want this and I want that. And you're allowing that. Now, for other things, they get 13 to 15 and they want to learn to drive. And they beg you, can I drive? Can I drive? Can I drive? Can I drive? Now, for some of you parents, depending on where you live, you may take them and test drive, let them test drive where something is safe. We've all done it as parents. We've all had it done with us, where our dads, our uncles, our grandpas have let us drive the car. We've done it. But now, consciously, would you let them drive in the car by themselves before they're ready to take that one small step? No, because they have to grow, and there is a law. But now when we think about you as a grown person, your self-command, your control over your actions and your emotions, do you give in to them? And I want to talk about the people that are self-destructive, whomever you are. Self-destructive people will act on impulse, or act out when they're triggered, or act to hide an emotion or a trigger. But it is important that you gain control. How do you do this? We ask the root question, why is this happening? Acting out. Being abusive to oneself. We're going to talk about others, but we need to address self, gaining the mastery over your actions. Because we could be triggered by things. A memory, our thought process, maybe being triggered, maybe trying to hide a thought, or maybe just not wanting to feel that emotion. Is it hard? Is it hard to face the lion when it comes to the root of how you got there? I want to go back to the walking baby that keeps falling. You as the parent, you already know that your child is learning to walk, and that if they don't get it tomorrow, they're going to keep practicing that. So we cheer them on. But did you know that sometimes when a baby falls, he might really fall and hurt himself? Fall hard on their diaper because their legs are so little, or fall hard and hit corners of a table. They cry, and we comfort them. We let them know, yes, that must have hurt, ouch, and we hug them. Did you know that children are resistant? Or, resilient is the word. They get up later on, and they're going to practice walking until they get it right. And they may have no memory of the fall that hurt them the most. They get up and they keep going. I want you to gain empowerment or power through your brain, through your mindset, to be able to become active in your own life. My good friend was talking about a person, her workmate, that needed approval Every time they did something good, they would say to someone, come look at this. Or they would say to her, come look at this. Look at what I did. Didn't I do this good? Why do you suppose that is? One of the things could be, but not, don't quote me. We're going to use scenario. The root cause of that could be because they always felt out of control because nobody ever said, you did good. Good job. How many times are we reminding ourselves of this? I want you to think about your making choices. How are you doing with that? Are you asking someone how to think? What to say? What to do? Or are they saying, I really appreciate that person because they can take control of their own life. You know what that's called? Being a leader. Do you remember when you were little and you were asked to line up? How many of you were ever a line leader? Anybody? Trish, were you ever a line leader?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Did you want to be a line leader?
No, it was like picked at random.
Okay. Because that's a good thought. When we want to be leaders, we have to show leadership skills. And that's the same way we have to do when we grow up. We have to show leadership skills. Are you a line leader if you're looking for people to show you how to be quiet? Or show you how to finish a day's work? So you become a leader in your life when you are knowing, hey, it's my life. You know, people say this all the time. It's my life, and I'll do what I finish the sentence. That's right. I'll do what I want to do with it. And they make their free choices, and boy, does it show. Independence is very important. How do I mean that? If you're 18 and you say, I can't wait to get out of my parents' home. Really? Because all you're going to get is bills, bills, and more bills. I tried something the other day. And I was so proud of myself. My youngest is finally in his own place. But he gave the bill collectors my number. You might all be saying, okay. No. See, you couldn't wait to get out. And with a little help, I made that happen. But see, you forgot one thing. With that comes freedom. Freedom to pay your bills, even if they're late. Freedom from people making decisions. So what did I do? Bet you're wondering, right? I'm going to tell you what I did. So that person can feel full independence. I gave the bill people his number. Because see, when you're a young adult, your parents are not responsible for the choices you make, whether they're good or challenging. Because I'm never going to say bad. We all have to be challenged. Remember the baby that walks? He falls, but he's challenged to get right back up. And we're all feeling that way. So don't ever tell your child, that's a bad choice. But the bills went with him. And he's just fine. Gave him all his numbers. Because you see, you have the right to make choices governing how you will do. But some of us don't make good choices. When's the last time you made a not so good choice? When you look at yourself, are you a calm, confident person? Are you a person that doesn't want to be told what to do? Or are you a person that controls your own path? What does your behavior show? You say to a person, and I get a lot of this with parents who will say, my child has done this, this, or that, and you start labeling them. And I've been guilty of that. You start to label them. But really, the child is, your adult child is just like that walking baby. Because we all say, well, I've taught you better. That's all fine and good that some of us have been really good parents, but our children are going to make a choice, the adult ones. And if your parent does not give you every answer, and parents, I say this to you with much love and unity, stop giving your children all the answers as they are young adults. Listen to them. Take it from me. I wasn't always listening. I fought with emotion. How my emotions reacted to what they were saying. How I received it. Listen. And then ask, would you like my advice? What would you like me to do with the information? And why are you asking? Because half the time they're not even listening until 50% of what you've said. Many don't always try to control them. Because sometimes that spring will bounce back and hit you right in the gut. Let them learn to autopilot. When you're autopiloting, what are you doing? I think of a plane, and I think of a plane that is flying in the air. There are some children who learn from the adult sitting next to them. Would you trust your 5-year-old, your 8-year-old, your 10-year-old to autopilot themselves? Some might. You know that thing about wanting to drive the car at 13, 14, and 15? While you're giving them a taste of driving, because we've all done it at some point. We wouldn't let them take full control of the driver's wheel. And many of us do pray that Jesus take the wheel in our life or our children's life. That's a real thing, guys. But when you want to steer their lives or your life correctly, think about your own brain power. Think about the brain power that you would need to help your children to gain their resilience, to get back, to feel, to think. Give them the power. Next, I want to talk about, and then we're going right to Trisha's Treasures. I want to fill you up with motivating you to take corrective action, to learn correction. Where do we learn this from? Well, let's think about it. We think about our emotions. We react because of emotion. What would you say is one of our emotions that gets out of control? What would you say? Chris, what's your thought?
I say anger.
Yes, anger. It's the hardest thing to cover up. If you've ever been angry, you can identify it because it looks all through you, your pores, your demeanor, your speech. And you know what you say? That person's angry. Well, I'll be darned. How did you guess that? Because you are wearing anger. It is hard to cover up. Sometimes we can mask other emotions like fear, hurt, sadness. But anger, oh boy. Anger is one of the hardest emotions to control. It's instantaneously. It's impulsive. Because some people have been so angry that other people and themselves have been hurt. We need to think about this. We need to remember that there, along with anger, there are uncontrollable emotions. And we get them in control by reflecting on the root and the cause. And we all have the ability to be able to do this. And I ask of you to gain control of your emotions. And those who are out of control and have been out of control for so long now that they repeat the pattern by doing what? Trying to control others. We're going to be right back with Trisha's Treasures. We are back, and it's time for Trisha's Treasures.
When I think of control, I think of a remote. I think of when you're in the mood, watch the football game. What do? You take the remote and you turn the TV to the football game. When you feel like watching a romantic comedy or some romance, you turn the channel, you turn the TV to your favorite romantic movies, and so on and so forth. When you're in the mood to watch something that you really enjoy, and it makes you feel good that you can get the remote and turn the TV when you want to. I have a lot of siblings, so we take turns watching the TV. So sometimes someone's watching the TV, but I take my other controller, which is my phone. I turn my phone to what I want to watch while someone else is watching the TV because they felt like watching TV at the time before I felt like watching TV. And so I don't have any words to say to them because at the time, I did not feel like watching TV. I read books at the time. I wanted to make some music at the time. And another thing that I think about when I think of control is pacing, time, patience. Those are the things I think about when I think of control because pacing and time good, I'm okay. And then 20 minutes later, after I sat and thought about the situation, and I think about, you know what? I am mad about that. I am frustrated. That made me very upset. Then after that, because I didn't grasp that during the time, I tried to mask it with a facade of I'm okay, I'm fine. Then I come back having those feelings towards that person in the situation or towards that situation, and it seems like I'm blowing it out of proportion because I didn't want to admit those feelings or take control of those feelings at that time. And so that's why, to me, it's important that I have the time in the pacing of my emotions. Sometimes I can step back and breathe and say, I'm going to calm down, but that did make me angry. I was upset. Anger is something that I'm learning to control without dismissing that emotion. So that's something I'm growing in as well, learning to talk about it instead of dismissing. And another thing last thing I thought about control is when you're reading a book and you see that your favorite character is not growing at the pace or growing at what you feel that the character should be growing in, like character development. That's what I mean. When the character is not developing the way that you want them to, and it also ties in with life, how you want the people around you to expand success like you are, or to understand you on the level that you want them to understand you, and to feel what you're feeling at the time. And the truth about that is we cannot control that. We can't. And I've taken some time to realize that when I first came into Vibe Talk, I was the person that you can call at 3 o'clock in the morning when I'm highly exhausted. And I take in all of the feelings that you have, and then it's 6 o'clock and I gotta go to school. That was me. And now I'm thinking about, I wanted them to understand that, but I didn't say that. I didn't tell them that. And I wanted them to understand I'm tired. I have feelings too. But I realized that I cannot make them feel how I felt. I could not make them understand what I wanted them to understand. The important part is I know how I felt. I understood me at the time. I know me. And because of that, it gives me the remote. It gives me the control. Be able to turn on my calmness, turn my mentality into joy when I feel at my lowest, understand what makes me happy, understand that if I'm angry, step back and just remember, yeah, I'm upset, but I can address it because it makes me feel good. It makes me understand that, yeah, I am upset. So there's nothing like understanding yourself during that time when nobody else understands you during that time. So in closing, I want to say that it's important to learn your control. It's important to understand the power of your control that is within you, and hope you guys learn that importance and use it to your best abilities. Thank you.
That is lion power, and Really, today's thought is about your control and not controlling others. Gain control of your life. If you've ever said, I have lost control, what are you really saying? Are you really saying perhaps that your life is spiraling out of control? Or can it be said that because you have felt so tired physically, mentally, emotionally, that you are exhausted and you're thinking about your purpose in life? Losing control is just not a bad day. It's a regimen of your feelings. Check into that, get motivated. The root causes of us may be that we've lost someone we love, or even we've lost a job that we really wanted. If you are struggling with this, get with someone. May you know that by your mindset and by you being motivated, that you are still in control of your life. To get with us live, please find and follow us wherever you live. You can comment, you can participate while Trish and I are live on Facebook right now. And if you get us after we've aired, please know that you can always comment, you can always send us a message, DM us. We have our social media pages. And don't forget, we are still asking for help with our art, expressions through art, materials. We need them, we need them, we need them. And every help would be appreciated. We have a GoFundMe, we have a center that you could mail it directly, 1317 East Palmdale Boulevard, suite number 18, care of Macy Robinson, owner of the Healing Center. And every little bit helps. Even if you cannot monetarily do something, gift certificates would be helpful, because we are really working on the Healing Center and its art. We'd like to do something very creative for the whole city to get involved with. We're looking for people who really are into art to help us. I'm not going to reveal what it's going to be, but Trish, you and I will talk about it, and every little bit helps. And we accept any and all donations. And you can find the information on our social media pages and our YouTube. Don't forget to follow us. There are almost 900 videos. Wow, we have grown. We're celebrating all month long our growth. We are still growing. Thank you to my amazing co-host Trish. Thank you to all the towns, cities, communities, countries, lands, and neighborhoods. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you to the clients that are entrusting me with their healing process. We grow together, always. Thank you, and we'll see you next time, right here on Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast.